Once again, thank you so much for joining me. We're reading, we're getting through to the book, and I can't wait to finish because it's getting better and better and better. You stay right where you are. Don't go anywhere. What follows is a story of taking risks outside one's confines and the luck that comes with thinking outside the box to have an opportunity of a lifetime. A random chance encounter that has now become an amazing business relationship and deep friendship of trust and integrity. It is rare to find both in one's life, where you become good friends and have a unique business relationship with one person. How did we meet? Allow me to backtrack to the fall of 2008, long before we met. It was the beginning of the great world recession of 2008. Like many, I saw my business of 35 plus years literally lose 50% of its income. In those 3.5 decades, I had seen ups and downs in my business with a few months of really hard cash flow. But this was different than any other time in that it would continue for a year, then a second year. It was not local or even regional, it was worldwide. My stable income had been the mom and pop jewelry stores, the gem dealer, the jewelry designer, and my retail customers, all of whom almost disappeared overnight. We went from having weeks of work lined up in the studio to not one job, repair, or order in our boxes. My steady gem and jewelry business of over 30 years was burning cash and drying up. It's hard to see something one has built so much of one's life into almost look like it would die. Hard to face and take a deep breath and make those hard decisions around something one put so much of one's life into. But I have never been one who would sit about getting depressed for very long. After a hard couple of years of managing the bleed out of cash and loss of business clientele, by 2010 I had to do something. So my wife and I sat down and revisited our metaphysics. We were living our philosophy and doing our homework, processing and mapping out our change from where we were to where we wanted to be. This is where putting function before form mattered when it comes to one's belief and attitude around living a spiritual and metaphysical life. It was a matter of how we wanted to be living and being in the world from this point forward, knowing what I knew and was capable of expressing. We sat down, listed all my talents and skills. Not just my obvious artist abilities, but the skills and talents such as my acting and live public speaking along with some TV background. I'd even been on TV live on the Oprah Winfrey Show. What transpired was how I wanted to live my life from a functioning state versus how I had done it in the past by just changing the form, thinking I could get it by achieving. For example, I clearly stated I only wanted to work with individuals I liked and who I felt held the same principles of trust and respect. No more chasing carrots with people who promised the moon but barely delivered on these big dreams. Up to this point, I would compromise some of my own principles for the hopes these dreams would manifest. Most often, the dreams would dry up or deliver half-baked results. I decided at this point in my life, I would no longer compromise my principles for the sake of this dream if I did not like the person or felt it challenged my integrity. From here, my wife and I could see what areas of the business I could move forward and keep alive during this difficult time. From there, we dreamt, visualized, and did ritual for a virgin future where I could go on TV and sell my cut art gemstones and jewelry. It just seemed like the perfect medium and fit for my talents. Prior to this time, I had some start-stops with some of the largest television shopping channels in the USA over the years, but nothing ever stuck or was not the right fit for me. But I kept visualizing this was one of those perfect mediums I knew for me to sell my gemstones and jewelry designs. I just did not have a clue as to where or the means at this moment. But I knew if I only met the right person and understood the right combination of events, this would be a big success. Call it persistence. But I remained focused and determined to make it happen. Talk to any very successful individual and they will tell you they failed several times before that one opportunity became their big success. I persisted and failed several times up to this point, but as already mentioned, I never stayed defeated for long. I was determined, and more importantly, I believed in myself that I had this destiny, and a big piece of it was to create these beautiful natural objects of wonder that would inspire others to feel creative and moved by beauty in the world. The message here is just keep focusing, and with clear intent, all good things come in time. This is such a powerful message in one's life. I've heard over and over again that one does not always get what one wants, but one always gets what one needs. As well as only wanting to work with individuals that held a similar level of integrity, genuineness, and a long-term commitment to making a partnership work, I also wanted to be able to create my gemstone jewelry designs in an affordable way so more individuals had access to these rare wonders without having to sacrifice my integrity. See, up to this point, my work was very one of a kind, and the cost to produce on a one-off level made so many of my works out of the range of affordability for most. It is fine to produce museum quality and collector level work, but it remained in reach to only the few that had the means to purchase my work. I wanted to be able to produce fine quality work that was affordable yet inspiring all in one piece. Sounds like a tall order, but I was at this point still in the dream visioning stage of this process. So there was no limits except what my wife and I put on our vision work. Fast forward to April 2011, International Colored Gemstone Association World Conference and Conclave that happens every 2 to 3 years somewhere in the world. I was asked to do work on the Constitution bylaws of the ICA since I had done the same for the American Gem Traders Association while I was a board member. Because I helped work and complete the governing rules for the ICA organization, they gifted me free entrance to the conference. All I had to do was buy a plane ticket to get there. Even though I was still having financial difficulties, both my wife and I decided it was just the right thing to do to jumpstart this new vision we had been dreaming of, to network internationally with associates I've known for years in the business. Besides the cost of the flight, with each conference, they do a mine tour in the country. A couple of years back, I was a speaker at the ICA conference in Australia and regretted that I did not go on the mine tour then. We both knew I needed to be on this tour. It was money I did not really have to spend, but once again, we felt it was so important that we did not hesitate in spending the money because we felt it was just the right thing to do. Sometimes one needs to break free of the confines of one's life and take a major risk. You don't logically know why, but the feeling was so strong in both my wife and I that we did not even hesitate to consider the downside of spending money that was not there. Dreaming outside the box more often than not requires taking risk and giving one's current reality a slip. What I mean by this is even during adversity and lack, you need to have courage to push beyond your boundaries, to explore